Okay, so here we are in a 2005 Prius, and I had this problem with the seatbelt where, like, when you go to get in the car and you try to like bring some slack in the seatbelt and like pull it across you, it would just lock up all super tight, and so you couldn't get any slack, you couldn't put it around you, couldn't clip it in, you couldn't use the seatbelt. So I decided, well, I'll pull this out and try to figure out, like, maybe I can fix it, how does it work, whatever. I ended up making some mistakes to the point where I cannot fix it. I screwed up. But figured I'd record a little video to show you kind of like how it comes out, how it works, so maybe you might stand a chance fixing yours in the future. So like, first of all, I guess, is like, how do you get this out of the car? There's these plastic panels that have to come off first. They have these little plastic clippy boys. Be careful pulling them out. It's better to use your hands or like a plastic tool, because if you use a metal tool, like you can snap them, and then like it's a pain in the ass to try and find ones that fit. So you want to like get in around them and pop them straight out rather than like from the side, because they'll snap off from the side. And like, same thing with all these other tabs, just like go slow, be careful, because it'll suck if you break those. And then once you're in there, the way this fits is that it sits like these. Like this. It goes like this. There's a bolt on the bottom of it. Bolt, there's a bolt on the top, and then the other bolts are like, there's a bolt for this to go down here, that's the end of the seatbelt, and then it pulleys up to the top. And in the top, actually, the top like pulley is just held by a plastic panel, but that plastic panel is held by two bolts right here. So yeah, you can pull this whole thing out, and then like you have to thread this back through like here in order to fully take it out, but whatever, it's easy. The only other thing to know is that there's this little wire connector here, wire harness that plugs in right here. And there's this little black clip that has to be removed before you can pull it out, otherwise it might break. So like, you can see that you have to like unclip it on both sides here before you pull it out. Like on both sides, just pull the clip up first before you yank it out. And then on the actual seatbelt, so the first mistake I made is I unclipped this side, which says do not remove. I didn't see that until I already did it. It's really easy to remove, actually, so it's kind of surprising that it's so easy to remove when you can't redo it. And the problem is, this is the coil spring. This is what actually like makes the seatbelt pull back into the mechanism. And if you pull it off, the coil unwinds. And there's no way, I can't figure out a way to like retension it. And even if I could figure out a way to retension it and put it back on without it unwinding before I stuck it on, I wouldn't know how much tension to put in it. So like, I don't think you should take this out, because I don't know how you'd fix it well again. The other side also says do not remove, and it even has this scary label that says that there's explosives in it, so you especially shouldn't remove it. I think you can remove it. I removed it. It was fine. There's just little clips on the side which are actually pretty easy to pull open. It'll be pretty obvious to anyone who looks at it, I think. And here's what it looks like on the inside. So the main mechanism is this ball bearing down here. And see, that sits in a little cup. And then on top of that, there's this little arm that connects into like the ratcheting side of the seatbelt. So that's the piece that has to like come down in order to release. You see how it like fits in that little tooth right there. And so what happens is, if the ball needs to sit right in the very center in order for that arm to drop down. And so if there's any kind of acceleration in the car, if it's on an angle or whatever, then the ball is going to like rotate forward and push the arm up and lock the mechanism. So that's probably what my problem was, although it looks pretty clean, so I don't know. I'm not really sure why it was malfunctioning, but that seems to probably be the most common problem. The only other things is that then there's this other little gear and locking mechanism. I don't necessarily really understand how this works. When the seatbelt's going in and out, it moves these gears, and then the gears turn this blue part, and then this engages this other like sort of locking mechanism. I think that's just to make it so you can't pull it too far out. Like when you get to the full extension of like the seatbelt, like all the way out, it makes it so you can't go any further. I don't think that's the main mechanism. I think this is the mechanism that actually like is what locks up when you're in a crash or whatever. The only other sort of interesting thing maybe is that I also learned that this explosive piece is actually inside of here. And what happens is that in a crash, I'm not sure how it activates. I don't know if it goes through the signal. If I think this is just a sensor to know if the seatbelt's engaged or not. Or maybe this is the wire that actually detonates the explosive. But what happens is inside of here, I think there's like some kind of piston, or maybe I saw a picture on the internet that's like ball bearings or something inside of here. Anyway, the explosive is down here, and what happens is when it goes off, it pushes the piston or the balls or whatever up into the seatbelt and causes it to tighten, like turn a certain amount, so that if there was any slack in the seatbelt when you got in that crash, it would like tighten it up and take the slack out. And so that is why, like, theoretically, if you're in an accident and this goes off, you're going to need a new seatbelt. I think those are all the things. So to summarize, I would say don't take the spring piece off the one side. You probably can take this other piece off and have a look and see if you might be able to fix something. But actually, this is important. Make sure that this little gear doesn't fall off like mine did, because all this stuff just like sits in here under pressure from the cap, and like you won't know where to position it again. You see, like you can, it's just who knows where this is supposed to be, like when it's reassembled for whatever amount of retraction the seatbelt's in. So be careful that doesn't come out either. But otherwise, you can open it up and take a look in here and see if there might be dirt in this or whatever. Either way, it's kind of interesting to see how it works. All right, peace.